In this video I will be designing a dungeon.
Hi here, how's it going? Today we're going to be building slash designing a dungeon. Not really building it yet, but it's going to be built in later videos. I'm going to do it according to the Dungeon Master Guide, 5th edition Dungeon Master Guide, the random tables in the back. Also, you're going to have a story about how me and my brother lost our Dungeons and Dragons books when we were kids, and those books are worth quite a bit of money nowadays. But yeah, let's get started with this.
Alright, so first things first, I want to give a big shout out to Paul Ward, my very first patron on Patreon. He joined the League of Alchemists. I really appreciate you. And to show that, I decided to offer free shipping worldwide if you order 2 or more items, at least until October 31st, 2019. So yeah, get yours if you haven't done that. It's on my Etsy store, which you can find a link to it in the description below. So anyway, let's get on with this. For a while now, I've been wanting to build a whole dungeon out of XPS foam and whatnot, so I had to sit down and plan. Yeah, I decided to pull out the Dungeon Master Guide and go to town with the random tables they have and towards the back of the book. But first off, I just kind of drew out the dungeon, and that's what a big majority of this video is. So while I do that, let's go ahead and get into a little story about the olden days, way back in the 1980s when I was 6 or 7 years old. I started playing D&D with my brother and his best friend at the time. Pretty sure I didn't learn to play right back then. We actually did. I remember the very first time I started playing, I was like making my character, and I was an elf, I believe. There wasn't really race class back then, so I made this elf, or it could have been a wizard, I don't know. Either way, I casted magic. I could cast magic, or I don't know if I could or not, but I never did actually cast magic. But anyway, back in that system, you couldn't really cast magic unless your stats were so high. Other than that, we probably didn't play right. Back then, we'd literally draw a map out. That was the game. I don't know how many times we actually made it through the whole map. Yeah. And sometimes we'd roll stats, sometimes we'd just draw our character and throw a pencil at the character. We didn't always have dice. I know we didn't have a lot of big fancy dice, so we'd draw a little chart out on a piece of paper. I don't know if you've ever played the Lone Wolf Choose Your Own Adventure stuff. It was kind of like the random chart back there where you take your pencil and you don't have dice, you just kind of randomly pick a number without looking. Not a very good system. We didn't really go by that. It usually ended up being kind of a more rough-housey type of throw your pencil at the character, and if you hit somewhere, that's where you hit. All that mattered is that we were having fun. It was promoting our imagination and really getting us into the fantasy element in the world, and whatever world we were on. It wasn't the classic Dungeons and Dragons worlds. I know we were into Dragonlance and all that back then, but so yeah, eventually our mother found out that kids, I don't know if they were kids or adults, probably college kids, were using actual Dungeons and Dragons spells in their witchcraft rituals. Or there was a lot of drama back then about people killing themselves because of D&D or committing murders because of Dungeons and Dragons. It was a really big problem, supposedly. I think the media was making it a problem back then. It's weird. I don't know if that's a thing nowadays. But yeah, she found that out, and at the time she went on a really everything was the devil spree. She threw away our Dungeons and Dragons books and our He-Man. We stopped celebrating Halloween, all this stuff. But unfortunately, you can't really take away a kid's imagination, and we were starting to get older, and we ended up just calling them paper games. So Me and my brother, instead of playing Dungeons and Dragons, we played paper games. That was fun. Same thing. Draw the map. Either roll dice or whatever. Roll dice, pick a random chart, or throw a pencil at the character. That seemed to be a favorite. Yeah, it was fun. It was really fun. Later on, we started playing other games. We found out there were other role-playing games out there, like Palladium Systems. I think we played Heroes Unlimited more than anything out of that. And later on, we got Rifts. Played the Middle-earth role-playing game. I got Rollmaster at the game store. That was fun. Well, kind of. Character creation was horrible, but all the random charts with the criticals really helped get that, I don't know, critical hit thing going on. Yeah, that's that. Like I said, my mom said it was the devil. It's like that foosball's the devil thing, but it was Dungeons and Dragons is the devil. We can't have that in this house. But in the end, couldn't really stop us. You can't really stop people from what they like to do. She gave in, ended up just calling it D&D again later on when we were teenagers. Yeah, that's about it. Since it took me over an hour to sit there and roll and plan what I created, I'm just going to do a whole walkthrough real quick and show you each of the rooms I ended up with. So the first room I rolled was an earth chapel and entrance. Oh, and I rolled this whole section right here is a mine, and I used the mine and the temple ruins, or temple, maybe just temple, to create this whole dungeon. I wanted to do kind of a mixture. Basically the story is these people are mining over here, and they mined through a wall, maybe this one right here, and found this temple, this ancient temple that was tainted by some demon or god or whatever, and undead started pouring out. So, the first room in the entrance is into a mine. It's an earth chapel that they created in the mine. It's been used as a campsite and has a pool of water and includes an allied monster. Then I did a kitchen. There's ashes and it's mostly burned. There's also spider webs all over. Then equipment storage. It's stripped bare with a dominant monster with treasure. And a storage room for ore, converted to a prison for undead priests. Maybe some of the first undead they started to come out of this temple, they were starting to catch and put in here for whatever reason. And there's a laboratory to conduct tests on strange minerals. Contains an allied creature. I kind of like ghosts as allied creatures for some reason. Kind of allied, kind of not. That neutral character, but hopefully the PCs won't try to kill him. And then there's a load where middle ore is mined. And there's going to be a dominant monster with treasure. Maybe one of these undead wanders out of here while they go into this room and see all the shiny minerals all over. So yeah, start with the temple part. There's a pristine library. It's well stocked with religious materials and includes a treasure. There's a workshop for repairing weapons, tools, and religious items. A trap where fire shoots from a statue if touched. And there's a dormitory where lesser priests used to sleep. The furniture is wrecked, and there's a dungeon hazard called the Shrieker. Divination room. You walk into here and it triggers a cave-in. Trophy room. There's a trap. You move an object and it shoots a magic missile. Dining room. It's covered in violet fungus. Here's just an empty room I wanted to have just to throw people off, make them nervous. There's a kitchen with a monster in it. Maybe there'll be an undead butcher or something. I really like to add some character to my undead, so Not just have a bunch of wandering skeletons around zombies. An audience chamber where priests received commoners. There's a mushroom field that wails loudly when touched. There's a bath with poison gas. Should be an interesting room to build. A robing room. If the trap is stepped on, the floor collapses. I may or may not have, I don't know, spikes or some sort of hazardous thing at the bottom of the trap. And in this room is a well for drinking water, and it includes a treasure. This is more of a resting room. Hopefully they'll take the hint and make it a campsite. Right here is rubble and collapsed ceiling, spider webs, and storage with treasure. There's an armory with weapons, banners, and pendants. Also a pseudo armor that offers a game of chance with rewards. It says required. There's a prison with a wall of fire blocking each of the passages, and a torture chamber used in inquisitions. It contains a monster with treasure. It's definitely going to be an inquisitor of sorts in that room. An undead inquisitor. Right here's a guard room with a monster. Maybe a couple suits of armored skeletons or whatnot. Right here is where I want the boss. This is the boss room. It's a chapel dedicated to a lesser deity. And there's a boss monster guarding a treasure with a pool of acid that damaged the room contents. So there's also a hazard that PCs will have to fight around. Should be an interesting room. So yeah, that's the basic lowdown of what I rolled up. It's a lot quicker to go over than to sit there and watch me roll. Yeah, that's all for this.
It's the dungeon that we're going to be building. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Definitely appreciate that. And like this video. I definitely appreciate that. Let me know if you have ideas about rooms in this dungeon. These are pretty generic, so I want a lot of detail in here. Impress some people, maybe show you how to build some things you can build along. Yeah, I plan on filling these with miniatures and everything, so yeah, that's everything. Thank you. Also, don't forget to hit that bell icon when you subscribe so you can get notified when all these rooms are being built. There's a lot to do here, and that's everything. Thank you.